My name is, oh, let me fix my overall.
You're good.
My name's Uncle T. I am a local artist from Minneapolis. I was really more focused on rap for a long time, and that's kind of how I would have identified myself, but really more into singing now, so I'm just an artist now, I guess. And I do a lot of things. I have a little business called Side Hustle Salt. Make seasoning salts and sell them to support my music. And yeah, I'm from here and I love it here, and just, that's me.
Hell yeah, nice and simple. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw your song that you posted on your story, and I was like, oh, that's dope. Because I know Sieed like decently well, like from back in the day and stuff. So I was like, oh, let me reach out. And I listened to the song. I kind of felt a little like melancholy like from it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not a happy song.
Why don't you just talk about the song. Yeah.
Yes, well, you know what, that song is like, it's funny because I remember like kind of first sending it to Sieed, and I was like, yeah, you know, this is something that I'm actually going through, and he's like, yeah, I can tell. And I was like, for sure, like, you know, it's very transparent. Like sometimes, like, I think especially with R&B music, like I've been writing songs where I kind of like make up concepts that, you know, not make up, but kind of, you know, write songs about stuff that I might not actually be going through, but just for the sake of just trying to find new stuff to write about. And I actually find that aspect of creativity really great. But in this context, this song is, I'm in a long distance relationship with somebody, and we've been in it for a year, you know, so we got together under the basis that, you know, we weren't really probably going to work out, you know, because we both had other things that we had planned for our lives. But then, you know, it's been a year now, and so we've had this struggle of like, do I move, or do we stay together, or do we break up, essentially? And so it's a very real struggle that, it's very clearly about the situation that I'm in. So it was really cool with Sieed because I sent him the song without any context, and he kind of wrote like the perfect verse for exactly how like I was feeling, and it was really cool. So it kind of came together in that way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like I definitely did feel sad. It like brought me like right into like my own situation too. So it's like extremely relatable. Like you did a great job with that song.
I think a lot of people can understand that concept, you know, like, so it's good to hear.
Who made the beat?
So the beat is ACKronem is a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends. And so he made that beat with this dude, JawshCrespo, who lives in California. So he did the guitar loops. And so they did like a collaboration on it. He sent it to me because he's like, this sounds like your vibe. And so it kind of just got started from there. And, you know, the way Sieed and I got to, you know, work together is we did a little show on top of Reed Benjamin's garage. And it was the first and only show I did in 2020, really. Well, I guess I'm sure I did some stuff early winter, but post-COVID. And he's like, oh, we should work on something together. And I was like, cool. And then this song kind of came about like a month later. So I sent it to him.
And there was one other thing I was going to ask you about the song. Who mixed it and like who did
Reed mixed the song. So actually, really, to be honest, I feel like Reed really took that song to the next level. So it was actually Reed and Free City, Trey Friedman. So Trey did the beat, and then Reed mixed the vocals. So Reed's actually my neighbor. So he lives right by me. So we were like homies before COVID, but like we're super homies now because we live so close to each other. We just like have the opportunity to hang out. So it's really, really cool to have somebody engineer your stuff too that's like right by your crib, and it's like COVID, so we all have like small groups of people that we kick it with. So that's kind of made it complicated, but it was a really perfect storm with Reed because he's a talented motherfucker and just become a really close friend. So when people care about the shit they're working on for you, it really helps, like, I mean, in terms of what comes out, you know, the product and stuff. So that's kind of been the whole process of being an artist. It's like trying to figure out like how to only do that, you know, how to only work with people that like care about the product, rather than have it be like kind of transactional. But you can't get there overnight, really. You know, you got to develop relationships with people that you talk with, and it takes time.
As they say, what Rome was not built in a day, right?
Exactly. But you know, it's like when you first start out doing shit, like it's like you're like don't even know what mixing is, or like don't know like, you know, how many steps there are involved in like creating something, you know. It just takes time, like you said.
Yeah, he's really good at what he does too, so as far as collaborating,
yeah, definitely. It was a whole ass crew of people really on that song, so Yeah, it was like I guess
Oh,
5
yeah,
people.
yeah. At first I was like, but yeah, now I get it.
There was 5 people involved really in that song, so that was a lot.
Yeah, that's the power of a team, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it definitely emulates kind of like that style that I really like, I'm fond of just as a listener. So it's cool to make music. I feel like I actually would be like, I'd listen to this song, like that's the kind of music I really like listen to for myself. So
Yeah.
it's dope to be making that.
Yeah, that R&B vibe is super present too. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like kind of interesting because it kind of feels like rap really just has led me to singing, and now I kind of feel like that's kind of where I belong. Not that you have to be one or the other, but I just like that there are just less rules, I feel like, with singing. I mean, obviously there's technical ways to be good or bad at singing, but with rap there's just a lot. I just felt like there was a lot more rules, in terms of like technicality speaking, and just you want to have like a certain amount of wordplay and blah blah blah. And I just felt like I'm not saying that's bad or anything. I just feel a lot more of a free ability to be creative with singing, more so than I do with rap. And I just love it. So that's kind of where I'm trying to head, is trying to like really challenge myself with singing. So I haven't really been rapping much for a while now, in terms of like at home in my little studio. I haven't been practicing rap, it's mostly singing. So.
I like that you said practicing.
Oh, singing is a fucking practice, dude. I mean, that's what people really don't understand. It's like the same thing as like 2nd grade art class. Like if you're not good at it right away, that you're just not an artist. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing with singing. Like people are like, oh, I'm not good at singing, so I can't be good. I'm just not a good singer. But it's like you can really like most people have a lot more potential singing, I think, than they realize. But they think if they're not good at it initially, then they never classify themselves as a singer, And so I think that's how I was for most of my life. And then rap kind of got me into like blending the two, until I was like, what if I like just sang, And I started by just adding a little singing to my rap shit, And then it kind of slowly became this thing where I felt confident enough to like sing an entire song. You know what I mean? So it's been a process.
Yes. Life is a process. Can you tell me about, I want to keep going on my questions though. Can you tell me about Local Dope Shit?
Local Dope Shit.
Is that going to come back?
R.I.P.
Oh, is it?
No, I'm just joking. I mean, it is in the sense that like it's not something that,
You're not gonna...
I mean, I'll plan on doing it again. I mean, at least for now. I mean,
Okay.
Can's kind of like no longer.
Yeah. I feel like it was like
And
a
it's
brand
like-
of its own, though.
It is, but honestly, like, it is, but it's like, I think for me, like, I'm really, like, I got into music, because I really wanted to make music. And I never, like, Local Dope Shit kind of was something that kind of, like, fell into my lap. And now it's, like, being away from, like, shows and kind of all the obligations that I've had, I've, like, just grown so much as an artist. And I don't really see myself going back into throwing shows, just because I also have a business, I also have a full-time job, and like I was like running on empty before COVID happened, and I didn't have a lot of time for creativity. And I've kind of gotten back to myself, through COVID and shit, and just like I really want like to be holed up, like obsessing about music more than I was able to before. And Local Dope Shit was awesome and stuff, and it was a great time, but I don't know that I'll pursue that side of music again. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say thanks.
Yeah.
You did a good job with it.
It was a great
Yeah.
time, and that was a magical fucking time, and I love Local Dope Shit. I mean, for those of you who might not know what it was a hip hop show that I, started by just kind of on a whim, and it just ended up becoming something, and it was really special. It was over 2 years that we did it. But yeah, I mean, I think when the music scene comes back, or whatever you want to call it, it's not going to look the same. And I'm glad about that, and I think it needed a little shaking up, and I think that's also part of what it motivates me to not really want to do that. I think that, I think there needs to be some stepping aside in the hip hop community that needs to open up for people, people of color for the most part, to throw shows and be the predominant, faces of hip hop in the Twin Cities. And I think that's something that I wrestled with before COVID even happened. And I think I think the hip hop scene should look different, and I think that I want to be a part of supporting that, I don't necessarily want to be the face of throwing shows anymore, if that makes sense.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect. Yeah, respect. Shit, I don't know what else to say to that. Can you talk about Side Hustle Salt?
Yeah, so Side Hustle Salt is also just kind of part of my little trio of things I do. So Greg Grease was my teacher at Slam Academy when I took a hip hop production class there. And he really inspired me because Greg does like leather work and sewing and stuff like that, and like has built a career kind of just on all these like a la carte things that he does, and then also making music, and I just think it's so cool. And he taught a class, and he just really encouraged us to think of something that was like authentic to ourselves that we could make money off of to support our music or to like potentially be more self-sustaining. And I always have loved salt. I'm like obsessed with salt. Like it's kind of a weird thing to be obsessed with, but like as a kid I would like eat salt, like I had like salt packets in my pocket. Like I was like really like addicted to salt all my life. I was a really weird kid.
Okay.
But I've always liked seasonings, and so I was like, okay, like if I was really gonna make something authentic to me, it would probably be like a seasoning salt. But I never made one before that, but I knew that I could make one that tasted good because I was an expert taster as far as I was concerned. So anyways, started a business selling salts maybe like a year and a half ago now, and I got commercially licensed last March. So it was right when COVID really started though, so I haven't pushed my stuff into like stores or anything like that. But I did a lot of work to make my business legit in a pretty short amount of time. So it's cool. I have a website. I sell it online quite a bit. So it's kind of just growing organically as of right now.
Great name.
Thanks.
I haven't actually tried the product, but
I should have brought you some.
Cool.
Actually, I was originally going to call it Uncle T's. Uncle T's like special salt. But then like the day before I was going to call it that, or I was going to come out and announce it, I like just decided to Google that. And there's like an Uncle T Spices in New York, and it has like a logo that's like even kind of similar to mine. I was like, I'm really glad I looked into that. And I had a backup name, and I'm really glad it ended up that way. So.
Yeah, the name is, honestly, the name might be what
Totally.
does it, like.
Totally. Yes, it's such a thing, So, yeah, thanks. So yeah, that's something I do too.
Yeah, what do you got coming?
In life?
Yeah, just in general, or the question is more broad than that, but we were kind of like really focused. The question that I normally ask at this point in the interview is, what do you see coming for yourself or for the community, the music community, the arts community in Minneapolis and St. Paul?
Well, like I touched on it before, I think it's going to be totally different, and I think that's great, and I think we should welcome that. It's sad, in certain ways that a lot of the very like integral elements of the hip hop scene are no longer in terms of buildings, but I think the vibe and the drive and the community is very much still there, and I'm excited to see what it looks like. To be honest, like it's like I think it needed a revamp, so I'm excited about that. And I'll be here to support that for sure. In terms of like myself, I guess I'm just gonna keep challenging myself with music, really just singing as much as possible and kind of like trying to emulate like, kind of like the pop R&B, like mainstream stuff that I love a lot. I really want to try to kind of put my own spin on that. So you'll hear a lot of music from me pretty soon. I think I'm gonna do singles once a month for a while, and then maybe put out the project. But it's 2021. Singles are perfectly in right now. So yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna keep trying. We're gonna hope this year's better than last year, and whatever that even means. But
I think I can imagine a scenario that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It was like a weird, like, I don't know about you, but I live alone, so it was like a weird social experiment to like be alone, like all of 2020 for the most part. Just quarantining by yourself and just like going from a life where you're so busy you have like no time to breathe, and then all of a sudden you're just like alone with your thoughts like in your house. It's just like it's been crazy. It's been cool, but it's been hard for everybody. But it's been kind of an interesting introspective time for a lot of people too. So it's the truth.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me on.
Would you say this is Staring at the City and say your name?
Yes, this is Staring at the City. My name is Uncle T. That's it. Should I introduce it in a different way? There's nothing else to it.
Nice.